Hello again my friends, this is the Boyne's Dog and welcome to the channel where I talk about play, rank and review games on the Evercade, old and new. In today's episode we continue our journey through the launch year of Evercade with my ranking of all 8 games on the 10th console cart, Technos Collection 1. After the colossal collection that was Pico Interactive 1, it's nice to step back and have a more regular amount of 8 games with this collection. I must admit, knowing this collection was on the horizon, I had slight trepidation. I've not been the biggest fan of the Double Dragon series compared to other games of a similar type, but it has been a while and we do have new ways to play. I have been going through these collections with a blank slate after all. And I will admit, I surprised myself with how much I enjoyed some of these titles. I think more than I did when I first got them, so that was interesting. No, this was the last of the launch collection lineup, but not the last collections released in the first year, so after this collection, we are not done just yet. Always note with my rankings it's for fun, and I don't necessarily prefer a game that's technically better, rather what I had the most fun with. Guess we better get stuck in. Number 8. And in 8th place is Super Strike V Ball, a sports game developed by Technos, published by Taito and originally released in 1989. Now, to say I'm super rubbish at Super Strike V Ball would be a super understatement. I could barely make it through a match, but it isn't for want of trying. It did take me a while to work out the timing, but I got there eventually. Mostly. Its basic but fast reaction time is key, which is probably where I fall short. This isn't a huge game, and if you're better at this than me, which I'm sure you all are, then you'll definitely get more mileage from it. The game is fine in its own right, but when put up with the remaining games in this collection, there's always something else in the cart I'd rather be playing. Number 7. And in 7th place is Super Dodgeball, a sports game developed by Technos Japan, published by Technos and originally released in 1987. Each team of 7 members is led by a gigantic captain who leads his side towards combat in a schoolyard brawl that is ripped from the River City Ransom universe, but uses sports instead of fists to solve problems. A dodgeball match. You know, I'd enjoy this game a lot more if it wasn't so flickery. Actually getting to play a dodgeball video game is a great idea, and there is fun to be had here if it weren't for the intense flickering and jerkiness, which may drive your eyes a bit potty after a while. It did with me. Which is a shame because, as I said, while it's not the most complex of games, I had quite a lot of fun with it. Number 6. And in 6th place is Renegade, a beat 'em up developed by Technos Japan and originally released in 1988. This game is most notable as being the precursor to many games of its style to come out, including Double Dragon, so it does have its importance in video game history. However, with 4 gangs to beat, this isn't the biggest of games, but it makes up for it by being a tough little sod. Those pesky guys with sticks or other weapons really are a pain in the butt. It uses a button for attacking to the left and another for the right, like Double Dragon 2, which I am a fan of. Of course, here it's much more basic looking, a little rough around the edges, but you could smell the origins clearly. Though I have some enjoyment from this, the Double Dragon games are clearly more advanced versions, so after curiosity has worn off, it's one of those I'm more likely to play on the cart rather than this. Number 5. And in 5th place is Crash and the Boys Street Challenge, A track and field style sports game developed by Technos Japan, published by Technos and originally released in 1992. Theodore Todd Thornley, the fourth, is humiliated by his rival Jeff Crash Cooney and his gang at the Southside High School at the All-City Track Meet, and so decides to challenge them all in a sports contest for the ages. Now, I actually had some fun with this one. Like a track and field type game, you get different events to take part in. I generally like the idea of most of them, but there are tricky elements, especially for me. The hurdles is a fun game if it weren't so fast for me. My reactions just can't keep up with this one at all. As fun as it is, if I win, it's through some kind of electrical miracle. The swimming I just can't get the hang of. Tricky swine. I get what you have to do. I'm just rubbish at winning. Now, the hammer throw golf game is a lot of fun and something I can actually play alright, as it's not down to lightning reactions. The reef race is a lot of fun, but a save state is needed before, as not knowing what's coming can make it very tricky. But it's fun seeing how far along you can get. And it's rounded off with a fighting scene, which is kind of what you'd expect from these guys. Just like a later game in this list, there are shops to buy stuff from to help with a boost, which you can spend with medals you gain within each contest. All in all, a fun little package, if only I was better at half the events. Number 4. And in 4th place is Double Dragon. Developed by Technos Japan and originally released in 1988. Billy and Jimmy Lee are tasked with rescuing Marion using only their fists, feet and any weapon they manage to pick up along the way. Using A to kick and B to punch and pick up items, it's a simple system, made easier like a lot of NES games on the Evercade. Just hold down X or Y for a fast, steady stream of punch and kicks rather than pressing for them individually. My worn out hands are huge fans of this feature. Pressing both A and B together, or indeed X and Y, lets you jump and can be a fiddly affair when it comes to basic platforming sections. There are a variety of cool locations to fight through on your way, including your usual city areas and a forest area. You must make sure you've got your jumping down, as the gaps in the bridges can be a fecker when you first start out. Yes, I've fallen through a few times. I had much more fun with this one than I remembered having previously. I quite like the little headbutt animations if you push forward twice. You can clearly see this is a step up from Renegade, but not quite there as with Double Dragon 2. Still, as an early attempt, this ain't half bad. As of a lot of games in this collection, this is an absolute joy to play on the Alpha. I find most games much easier with a joystick or arcade stick rather than a D-pad. Well, my hands prefer it. Number 3. And in 3rd place is Super Double Dragon. A beat 'em up developed and published by Technos Japan and originally released in 1992. The Shadow Warriors gang have declared war on society and Billy and Jimmy aren't going to take it lying down. Well, of course they ain't. Built for a 16-bit system, this has so much more colour and detail with fantastic little animations, a damn-tastic soundtrack, oh my god it is so good, and makes full use of all your buttons. The fighting system is much more exciting here, throwing out separate buttons for attacking left and right, and being replaced with a fantastic grabbing mechanic on the A button. Time it when they go to punch you and you can grab them and twat them with your fists or feet. Very satisfying when you time it right. X and B are punch and kick, and Y is jumping and throwing. Yes, jump has its own single button. Delicious. The game is a little slower than you probably like. I hear there was never a complete version of this game as it was rushed out for release at the time. But it actually helps me with timing the grab attack, if I'm honest. The only one that just can't be played on the Alpha, this was built for a console and that's where it shines best. Number 2. And in second place is Double Dragon 2. A beat 'em up developed and published by Technos Japan and originally released in 1989. The city suffers again under the tyranny of a streetwise gang, and it's up to Billy and Jimmy Lee to use their fighting skills and once again save the day. Go back to Renegade's moveset of A attacks left and B attacks right. The direction you're facing changes the attack. So if you're attacking in front, you'll punch, and if you're attacking behind, you'll do a back kick. And it looks cool. Again, you'll need to press both A and B together to jump, and as before, holding down X or Y for rapid attacks without having to hammer the buttons. Each stage feels much more varied in level, look and design, with much more verticality at play. I also found this game easier than the first game, and of course it looks a lot more polished and smoother, with more detail. Of all the Double Dragon games, this is the one I think I had the most fun with. Again, I had the most fun with this on the alpha, with its 2-button control scheme and ability to move both vertically as well as horizontally. It just fits perfectly. Number 1. And in first place is all that's left. It's River City Ransom. A beat 'em up developed by Technos Japan, published by Technos and originally released in 1990. Alex and Ryan have to make their way across River City to River City High School in order to rescue Ryan's girl Cindy from the evil gang leader Slick. The fighting for this one is what we come to expect: A to kick, B to punch, pressing both to jump. Interestingly, you press A to pick stuff up. An enjoyable game, much like the game that was an ode to this one on a previous collection. The play area is an open world to go more or less where you wish, and there are loads of gangs to defeat, but you can't go straight to it and just twat everything in the way. First you must grind for coins and then go back to the shop and buy items and food that will power you up. There is a lot on offer and it can be confusing to know what does what. Some refill or give your health boosts, some permanently power your punch or kick. But you know what is the best way to find out? Just try it all. Find what's best. Obviously prizes do give us a big clue as to the quality of said item. Make sure you're fully powered and you have the items to take with you to boost or at least keep you from dying. A bit tricky to begin with, just remember to hang near shopping areas, fighting enemies nearby, then coming back before you get slaughtered to spend your money. Keep doing this. Save states are quite handy to have the game set up for a grind, which makes the Super Pocket, or more so the EXP, a perfect partner. The grind is worth it, so you have the ability to take on all the gangs and win. It's just a cool way to add extra light RPG type mechanics to a scrolling beat 'em up, and gives it a much more girthy and longevity, making it the game by far that I came back to the most on this cart. This game, just like Double Dragon 1 and 2, plays perfect on the alpha, but I mostly play it on the XP or grinding machine as it is coming to be known to me now. And my final thoughts on this collection. Before going back in, I thought I liked these games less than I actually did when I actually started playing through them again, if that makes sense. Especially the top 3 titles. Double Dragon 3 with its grabbing mechanic, Double Dragon 2 being the most fun I've had with a Double Dragon game, and yes, the sheer addictive quality of River City Ransom. I may not come back to this cart much, but now I have, I think I'll stick with it for a little while longer. And if you made it to the end of the episode, thanks ever so much for joining me. Leave a thumbs up or comment if you'd like. But even if not, I'm still chuffed you poked your head in for a goosey gander. Join me in the next episode where we move past the launch lineup but remain in the first year with the first released duo car, Evercade Console Collection 11, Xeno Crisis and Tanglewood. I hope you're having an awesome day, my friends, and until next we meet, be seeing you.